Welcome to the fascinating world of Issele-Uku Kingdom, a land shrouded by questions and historical puzzles. Today we embark on a quest to uncover the enigmatic origins of this remarkable Igbo-speaking community. Issele-Uku is a place where vibrant Igbo cultures and traditions flourish. Yet, beneath the surface lies an intriguing connection to the Benin monarchical system. The Ada and Eben, symbols of royal power, bear similarities to their Benin counterparts. But the question remains, how did Issele-Uku come to embrace these influences while retaining their Igbo identity? History writers propose a fascinating theory. They suggest that Issele-Uku Kingdom migrated from the renowned Bini Kingdom around 1230 AD. However, a puzzling mystery emerges. If they were indeed migrants from Benin, why do they speak the Igbo language and wholeheartedly embrace the Igbo cultures and traditions? This is the point where we encounter the missing piece of the puzzle, known as Ogboli. Join us on this captivating expedition as we unravel the true origin of Issele-Uku Kingdom, exploring the cultural fusion, the legends, and the untold stories that shape this extraordinary land. Get ready to travel through time and delve into the intriguing history that has left a lasting impact on Issele-Uku and its people. Ogboli, the Kingmaker.
Ndị Ogboli bụ ndị nwe ntọala n'Issele, aka ya kpọ indigenous persons or people. Ndị Ogboli dị wadị mmadụ ise bụ settle n'Issele, mana Ogboli bụ mbụ bụ izizi, first to settle, followed by Ogbot. Ndị Ogboli ka esi maiwa si nri Padahana Bewa settle over. Ya can do about migrant farmers. Ubo kawebu, Babia settle over. What's in?
According to oral traditions, and based on the things we know as Ogboli people, Ogboli community Issele-Uku is the oldest settlement in Issele-Uku. They came before every other settlement in Issele-Uku. Every other person came to meet Ogboli community already in place. In fact, the founder of the Ogboli community is a man who migrated from Nri, somewhere in the east, in the person of Enwei. And then when he came into the area, complete bush, nobody was there. And as the custom was, he planted an Igbo tree. That is the culture in those days. You plant an Igbo tree to mark the place where you are, to mark your settlement. And so he did that and then settled in that place with his family and the people he came with.
Ogboli centuries ago, many centuries ago. Ogboli came first, Ogbot now followed. Ogbot was the second village joined Ogboli Issele-Uku. As far as history is concerned, the Ogboli Bondebuzo settled in Issele-Uku. You were mad that only 1 Iroko, 3 Orji, the Ogboli. I bonde wa mwanya ba kudo. Nde mmoda anyi kudo ya Orji. Back and the Ogboli was settled. Back up na whether the pieces na yabo Ogboli.
The Ogboli bunde na bunde chimeze. And Ogboli abu diskwa na obodo chiche na nocha nyancha. And ogene kowe kenewe. Wancha si nribia. And wa bunde chimekweze. Ibuzo Pongwashi, Ila Wancha, Wabunde Chimese, Onye Ozo Mechimese Karia, and Bundo Bolibu, Seribia, Onisheka Eze.
long time ago, migrants from Nri Kingdom embarked on an expedition in search of new territory and a better life, crossing the proverbial 7 rivers and 7 forests. They decided that they have traveled far enough from their original homeland. Finding current locations suitable enough, they settled at a portion of large expanse known today as Oboli. Enwei and his team, having settled, chose a strategic portion of the territory and planted an Igbo tree, known today botanically as Boladia levis. This is the Enwei, and is today the oldest shrine in all of Issele-Uku Kingdom. So, it becomes a thing of concern should anyone who claims to know the history of Issele-Uku write anything about the history of Issele-Uku without mentioning the name Enwei, the progenitor of Oboli Agidi community. From all the historical accounts given thus far, the history of Issele-Uku cannot be complete without the Chronicles of Enwei, the first settler, the founder of Issele-Uku, the planter of the oldest shrine in all of Issele-Uku, which is the Enwei.
Ụfọdụ n'ime anyị believe na onwe ife wakpo oral history. Ya bụ ife na-adị tarị si ọnụ wenye ọnụ. Ụfọdụ na-ekwu na wee dị na anyị gosiwa be wede. Mana ife efu na-adị ịgwa ya ka mkpa. Gwa anyị na Oboli nọ Igbuzo. Ọ hapụ nwene we setụlụ na Ogwashi. Ya bụ wakpo Onisha na Ogwashi befkọwa setụlụ. Enwei aba hapụ ụwa. Enwei nwa Oboli ọbịa setụlụ n'ise. Na Oboli bịa kwụsị n'ukwu Orji. Ya ka anyị akpọ symbol of unity n'Oboli. Ụmụ Orji ukwu dị n'ile Oboli. Orji afọ bụ symbol of unity. Bịa ka Oboli si bido. Oboli abịaga centuries before 12 AD. Ndị Bini liberated Issele.
A day came and the man went on his hunting expedition and noticed smoke from a little distance from where he was. There were no roads at this time. Everybody must go through foot, through the bush, navigate through the bush paths. And so he decided to go to, check those who the people encroaching on what he perceived was his area.
Abana nko bosi nje akanje ganwa ndi dum ekuga no kokolo am
Obo we na bia
do no be dia ni le gulo gba ni won di dire mo no mo na di bem.
So he came and stumbled on this set of people who had settled also in one part of the town. And so the argument ensued as to who came there first, because they wanted to know who the overlord of the place would be, or who will, call the shots as patins in that area. And so the argument led them to go and check. Of course, people who came to planted their own Igbo. That was the culture of the time. And so they came to see the Igbo tree of Enwei, and then they checked the Igbo tree of the other people.
na ndị mmụọ anyị si na-egbu anị kwa ji amarị ndị bụ ụzọ bịa n'obodo si tata jeme oyi anyị a amabụzi oyi anyị mana adị anyị ka ọ gara ọbụzi okwukwu nụ anụ maka mụ bụ onye nne m ụnụ ọgwa m ga-anụ ya bụ mụ n'ezikwa nwaba ha gwa ji ga-echi mmiri ịgwawa na anyị enwegadị ọkpa si tata jeme na-achịzi anyị na si tata bido na anyị ka ga-abụzi oyi wa baba iya dị
And they found that the Igbo tree of Enwei had long been in establishment, far older and more mature than the Igbo tree of the other people. So that was how they settled the issue of who came first and who was first in the land.
Nke Enwei mai ka agbai that ka dị older than the other one. That ka aje kpọ Anisi Enwei. Akpọzi Anisi Enwei, abasị okay. Be ga anịbụzi okay. Anyị nọ nọ. Where will be our boundary? Baba no ime egbo nke Anisi Enwei Belenganaba, that's the branch. Issele-Uku, which is behind Beaforde. This is our present for market. Amazia, Ababwa, and Uku, you see. Obori, no Bafo, but new boundary. Bundiaza, Abiama.
So to put a kind of demarcation or boundary between them so that everybody will know where he or she is occupying, a branch was taken from Enwei's Igbo tree and planted at the point that is the boundary between him and these other settlers. And that place where that Igbo tree is planted today is the boundary between Obori and Obofo. In addition to that, it was Enwei and his children, the descendants of Enwei, who now renamed that settlement that they met Obofo. Obofo in Igbo language simply means a new settlement, a new village, a new quarter.
If I na-akpọ anyị abụ Anisi Enwei. Anisi Enwei. Isi na be anyị bụ the first. Enwei bụ the first settler in Issele-Uku between 10th, 11th century, 12th century. Ka ọ bịa Issele-Uku. Oh, from Ugu. So he settled here. Man, I manage a life. Not until people came from Benin. Amandi Omado, that is people from Edo, Jibia, they settled in a place called
Ogbofu. By the time was a Benibia, oh, when the work would do barefoot. No, other side. And these are the Umuchima. That is the Ezechima. From the east to Yakijewe Ogwachima.
Oftentimes you see history being distorted. People want to tell you, oh, everybody in Issele-Uku came from Benin. Like some writers will tell you, they came from different quarters in Benin and all of that. It is not true. Yes, some quarters in Issele-Uku have Benin origins. Some quarters in Dumine, some quarters in Oboto. People who distort the history want to give the impression that the Bini migration came first. It is not true. The Nri migration came first, followed by the Benin migration and then other migrations.
And we see different migrants. Nisi Egala, Nisi Bodondi Ozadabia, so many be. Bef kono bo na anyị na ogbofo nwoke anyị na ogbofo siso bụ ndị ebini anogef ogboli, because as the first settlers of the town had a king then before 12 AD when Bini Kingdom liberated Issele-Uku, this area, and took over the administration of the area. And they assimilated us through intermarriages. But unfortunately, we can't speak Benin because our language supersedes. Because they made larger groups of migrant farmers. Because they made larger group of migrant farmers, they now began to intermarry with us and install the administration on us. As a result of that, the king then, in Enwei, they will have a king handling Oboli, Enwei.
The monarchy in Issele-Uku was founded by Obi-Olibo. Obi-Olibo is the son of Ezechima. But other writers of Issele-Uku who want to project the Bini history will tell you that one Ogio Wadiai, 1230 AD. By 1230 AD, Benin was not an imperial power. Benin was still recovering from the crisis of the Giso dynasty. And then, why did I say Obi-Olibo? Obi-Olibo because the two instruments of Benin regal power, the Ada and Abani, those two royal swords, came into Issele-Uku history during the reign of Obi-Olibo. Obi-Olibo became officially recognized by the Oba of Benin as his tribute king in this area. And so to reinforce that position, the Bini Kingdom officially during the reign of Obi-Olibo, under the reign of Oba-Esige, gave Obi-Olibo the two instruments of Bini regal power, the Ada and Abani. So those who are distorting it is saying that there was one Ogiwadiai as at 1230 AD. As at 1230 AD, the Ada and Abani, the two instruments of Bini regal power, were not part of our custom. It's an attempt to want to distort the fact and want to alter history to say that the Benis came here first. The Benis did not come here first. So Benin influence spread with the rise of Benin imperialism in the 16th century from the reign of Oba-Esige.
Tupu ife ndị eme, Ogboli nwe rulership. They have their own kingship, established kingship. One who Abiane, Ogwachime, they have their own kingship. Ama ndị Omado Jiba. Omado is a corrupted name. Omo Edo. Where's Bini Baha? They came as warriors. We defeat and the Agwachime. We defeat and Agwachime. The Onyachi Agwachime, Bapo. Therefore, as we Omado, a corrupted name of Omo Edo. When we defeat Agwachime, Ogwachima, which means Agwachime. They corrupted it to Agwachime.
Obi-Olibo is the son of Ezechima. And then after Obi-Olibo, his son Obi-Owele. Obi-Owele is the founder of Obo-Owele. So with the establishment of the Ezechima dynasty, Obi-Olibo was the one who first received Ada Eze-Chima didn't receive her. He was the one officially recognized. Because when Eze-Chima died, there was a dispute between his sons as to who will rule first. Because one of his sons died in his presence, and the children of that man who died wanted to lay claims. But it was resolved that since their father died in the presence of their grandfather, that the rights are passed. That was how Obi Olibo came to be the Obi of Issele-Uku. He is the founder of Issele-Olibo dynasty. Before now, Issele-Uku was an autonomous community, self-governing, had his own line of chiefs. And that is the symbolism of that great Iroko tree at Idumwetiti in Issele-Uku. That was the palace and the area, the king's court, where the rulers of Uboli community used to be. It was a self-governing autonomous community. We were not under anybody's influence. We had our own lines of rulers. And like I say to you now, the last ruler of that autonomous community was Manuata. He is the great ancestor of Reverend S.W. Martins of blessed memory. Now what now happened later? Yes, the Eze-Chima people began to rule, but unfortunately the people ruling Issele-Uku now are not descendants of Eze-Chima. Because something happened. At about 1730, the crown prince, who was the eldest son of Obi Odia, was sent to Benin as a prince to be, the way they trained them for all these kingly things. And then mysteriously he died there. Many of us believe he was poisoned or killed, whatever. Some believe that before this time, Benin was already laying a grand plan to invade and install a ruler. So the man they sent for training died in Benin. They didn't tell the people here that anything happened to him. Only for Benin, the Oba of Benin, to crown his second son, Obi Ediaye, and sent him under the guard of 3 brigades and marched on Issele-Uku and installed the second son of Oba Kenzwa I as Obi Ediaye of Issele-Uku. That was where the Eze-Chima dynasty was toppled. Before now, the palace in Issele-Uku used to be referred to as Issele-Olibo Palace. But under this new Obi now, you see them trying to change things to Issele-Uku Palace. Because certain truths are coming out. The rulers of Issele-Uku are not descendants of Eze-Chima. Many people in Issele-Uku don't even know this. And for this reason I'm saying, a lot of people are going to be incensed, but that is the truth and that is the fact. So where does that now lead us? There was a Beninization agenda with that imposition. Because before now, because of the influence, the Okpala system had become so entrenched. That is the system that was on ground. That is the system by which the people were governed. So, and the Okpala system was a loose arrangement. Once you are an Okpala, you are a free man, you live your life, you are not beholden to anybody, you are not anybody's slave or servant, and so on. And so one of the things the coming of Obi Ediaye did was to want to install in Issele-Uku here that strict and rigid monarchical system of a central Obiship where everybody must go and bow and kowtow. And the moment you don't bow and kowtow, you are seen as either being a deviant and so on. It was with the coming of Obi Ediaye that towns like Issele-Azaba fled from Issele-Uku. Issele-Azaba and then Issele-Bitime fled under that arrangement because of the harsh. If you go to Issele-Bitime, they will tell you, if you ask them, when did you come? They will tell you, we fled Issele-Uku. Because what they used to call Issele-Uku was, if you go to Issele-Bitime, they call Issele-Uku Issele-Uno. Issele-Uno. And then you ask them, why did you come? They say, look, it was Amobi Buadadibia. Now, so they fled because human sacrifice went. If you oppose, you are killed. You have no say. It was a very brutal setup. And it is instructive to know that at Issele-Bitime today, the Obi of Issele-Bitime emerges by the Okpala system. It's not the monarchical system we have. The oldest Okpala in Issele-Bitime becomes the Obi of Issele-Bitime. What does that show you? The Okpala system has been in existence. The influence, what the Bini people try to do erase by distorting history is to try to erase completely whatever looks like the influence.
So Onisha, why the Djes in Sebuna? Onisha, Boya get Chimese, Yaboya get Umo, Bubiada and Manoche, Nonisha Chimeno Biama Bobi. Yabu Orondo Bori. Yakwa just time Bonisha Ka Eze. Because na chime bịa na man ukpo.
Anyị bụ ndị tenwe obi according to story. Anyị nwe obi mana duto ya bụ manọta onye bibefu mana ife meni bụ na as time goes on manọta abụrụ oke bụ n'ọnọ nụọ nwunye mụọ ụmụ mana ọmụ n'oke ife na-achọ ịkọwa bụ ife meni the kingship ji hapụ Ogbori to another place. So oge o ji arịa nwa okpogho bụ onye n'anya and onye anụ a bịa from Ụmụezi say along the line the man emesịa hapụ ụmụnne bụ o si arịa ụmụnne n'anya ụmụnne ndị ike ya na the quarters whatever wee n'anya so ọ ga-anwụzi ọ bịa were ọfọ o ji bụ eze wee nye nwa nke okpogho so ya bụzi onye smuggle that kingship pụọ from Ogbori to Ụmụezi side before ka the thing say pull. So Nwozi our choma the thing.
The daughter, instead of proclaiming the death of the father, took the staff of office to where they are marrying her, Ụmụezi Issele, and gave to the husband. Before he came back to tell the brothers, my father is late, and they cannot allow him to stay overnight in bed with Dopama and Chichef. The next day, kingship was proclaimed in Issele. We were told he was Obi Okafor. He lasted for 4 days and died. The brother took over, lasted for 4 days and died.
Ụmụeze echimeze wechia nwa wa eze maka na ji ọfọ along the line wachi ọnwụhụ wachọpụwazi ife ọbịasị ka achọ anyị akwa amala ife emeni o ji bụ na wachizi eze ọ dị ala si ọnwụhụ ojem afa asịwa olesi m aje gwa ndị Ogbori maka ọ bụ ndị nwe the right ọ bụ ndị nwe the ọfọ waje appease ya ndị Ogbori coming good settlement with them so that no ga-enwe ike bịa chimewe ya bụ eze and ya bụ ya meziwo stand today ojibo na ndị Ogbori aso nishe anishe ofu Ogbori bụ onye ga-abịa were okpu tinye obi n'isi iti ezi ya ọtọa mana ọ bụ na ọ bụ na nishe abịa tinye okpu n'isi ọ ma atọ according to story.
They quietly now returned the staff of office to the place of abode, that is the Iroko tree. They now returned it, they went back to their kingdom, Benin, and brought a staff of office, which they now began to use. Because of that, a lot of ripple came. After much argument, they now agreed that since they are proclaiming the king, they are the administrators, you are going to be our kingmaker. They now become the kingmaker. Wabundi Echime Eze. Ayadi Ekeze, Anye Echime Eze. I saw this. This is the third, the second time I'm seeing it.
Ben simple, at least they witness again for about 5 of them will go Nisha. And can speak about few of them Nichimegeni, Nikudukwebo, Konkomode, and late Justice Azomani. Kamenishwanyam, Wabundi Chimobi, Utiobunisi, and where Chimesia, we bulu ochewa maka ọ provide oche ọ ga-ada na bịa chime echichi efu.
Actually, yes, this Kingmaker is 2 books in one. Actually, is a biography. It's a biography of my late father, the late Honorable Justice Eustace Okafor Azomani, who was also an Onisha of Issele-Uku. It was the Kingmaker. In fact, he was the one who crowned Obinduke Ezaguna, the current Obi of Issele-Uku. If you look through the pages of the book, you will see the picture where he was crowned in his office and capacity as the Onisha. The sole Kingmaker of Issele-Uku, they are not 2. Yes, in imperial times, the Oba of Benin can stay in Benin and do whatever he likes. It was under imperial times, it was convenient for him to stay in Benin and impose a ruler in Issele-Uku. But those things cannot be done now. So Issele-Uku has only one sole Kingmaker, and that is the Onisha. Whoever he crowns becomes the Obi of Issele-Uku. And until he crowns anybody, that person cannot be the Obi of Issele-Uku.
There are modes within which the Onisha will have to participate for the enthroning of the king, even for the burial. First, he has to seat the heir apparent. He has to give him a seat. We call it Ukpo, to sit down. Then he will now take Nzu white chalks and make incantations on him. And immediately you sat him there, is now show that he is the right person to be the king. And they have a tradition and till tomorrow. Onye Danugbo, first to sit there by the power of the Onisha, is the king. Because our kingship is hereditary. Bini Kingdom brought hereditary kingship. That is why we abide to it. Every Ogboli son is a potential Onisha. Manonye Buzo Chiokpala now becomes the Onisha. That is the first. No matter where you come from there.
Our settlement. Kaisi ebi, kaisi ebulo obi, kaisi linzele anyị welu akita ebe okwu ọjị dị. Ọjị anyị ji ri obi. Ọjị anyị ji achị onwe anyị. Ndo bụ ife ị na-afụ. Ị ga-afụsịkwa ife dị anyị. By the time we get there.
Alụ ọbụla o mere ebe ya pụọ na ka enu ogbori dị mma ka enu ụmụ nwa dị mma anyị ji anyị anụ ya mafụta ụzọ ka na ogbori ga-aga n'isi ụmụ ogbori ga-aga n'isi anyị ma nwe nri obufe anyị makwanye mmiri mmanụ ọtawa taa na ọjị ndị ogbori ndị gaga ije taa na ọjị enu ogbori dị mma ndị mụ anyị taa na ọjị ka ogbori si bido ka mgbọrọgwụ ogbori ka ọ dịa mma ụmụ anyị jewa anụ a ya mafụta ụzọ ogbori ama bubere ụzọ kpara azụ wala nkwụ ndị na-adị anyị la nkwụ ndị aja na-egbori la nkwụ ndị chiga ogbori wala nkwụ
ọjị ema tigbukwa ụmụ ogbori o
around 1951 mgbe fụmadị ka nọ isi ebe maka ka anyị dị ụmụaka ka anyị weku anyị na-elu bịa lụọ so waba ndị ise obi asụ wabasị n'isi asụ egbum ọjị chadị ise ọba egbum ọjị dị n'ise ka nke dị n'ezi ọgwa wabasị na kegbu nke onye achị ogbori ama bụ dị ọkpa anyị bụ ka nwe asụwa na ọba emetụ aka na ụlọ bụ ihe ife so unu na-eme mana unu emetụkwa n'aka ya dị ndụ ahụ afọ imeri ma ọjị n'ise ikuku na-ebu ọmụnapụsa ọjị uno like this ikuku nebue ino be ni ikuku ewu amafu ye ne uno no ko shepu bambam. It was heavy around 1951 onye kala has kwani ajuka kwani ko what happened he say when he say obori be the safe Orji anya the safe se ko jabu na anya bia na agwa o makanya joka o kasi na ya asopnala wasinke bible ndị joka say wenke chukwu wenye chukwu wenke siza wenye siza de kameta na di anyị ka ọ bụ daalụ no
daalụ. And apart from that ọ nwa ma aje bịa asị na ka egbu e ọ bịa tinye dọma be unu n'anya unu ga-afụ patches dị ihe Bible wee tinye dọma ka egbu e the Orji sizi the dọma wee nwere ike egbu e so
Very many blades. There was one blade I saw last time on it.
nke a bụ
The blades for the cutting hook there.
the hook and their chain we cut so the marks created we have on there therefore they have to step down.
If I will add to what my elders have said, this Orji is also symbolic for something. It marks the fact that Oboli was an autonomous community, self-governing, had his line of rulers, chiefs, people who were administering it. And where this Orji is located is like the palace square of the rulers of that time. And then the last ruler here is Manwata, or Menwata, who is a great grand ancestor of the late Reverend S.W. Martin. So this Orji for us in Oboli is the sign of our autonomoship. So even if we have a monarch now, or Issele-Uku has a monarchy now, we had been autonomous before whatever is happening now. Because we have been here before everybody. We had our own self-governing institutions before the Benin imperialism came.
Nri Civilization, the more than 500-600 years older than the Benin Civilization.
Nobody in various towns, deka Ibuzo, Ugwashiukwu, Atoma, even Akuku. Nobody settles there. Can anybody settle nobody? Can they settle Pana or Borondia Papa? And settling there shows that nobody both settle on each town. They can cross our line. They can guys over 4. So when this conference last year, December, they all came back our line. Ni fefu, dibende. Na ni afanye yoku, na wa nwe, esi kwa nwe.
Ebia zokwa na Ibuzo, anyị nwe Ogboli. Ebia na Atomabu, anyị nwe Ogboli. Ebia na Akuku, anyị nwe Ogboli. Ebia na Onitsha, anyị nwe Ogboli. Ebia na Ela, anyị nwe Ogboli. They are all from Nri. And one cha bụ kingmakers na Ebuwano. Because we are the first settlers in anywhere they are.
Like you have been told earlier, that there are Oboli settlements not just in Issele-Uku, in Ibuzo, in Atuma, Ele-Ogwashi, Obio, Akuku Igbo, Ela, up to Ida, up to Kwara State, even up to everywhere in Agbo there before the Benin came. The Nri civilization was well established in these places. And in all those places, these elements of Nri came first. So Benin influence spread with the rise of Benin imperialism in the 16th century from the reign of Obesige.
Nobody was the first to come to this Issele-Uku. Even before the Benin Empire conquered this area. And then let's go for Afa Anyaza this time. Afa Bini. Like me now, our family. I have a say family. Igbo name though, which shows I see from Nri. Yes, I see in Ribia.
There is what they call the Fejokwane. Fejokwane, for everybody who is in Anioma, any Igbo speaking community, even in the East, everywhere. The Fejokwane is the god of fertility and harvest. Before the farming season, it must be worshipped. And in any settlement in Anioma, the Fejokwan is not in the house of just anybody. The Fejokwan is always in the house of the chief or the ruler of the first settlement in the place. As I speak to you now, the Fejokwan is in the palace of the Onishe. And every year, by the custom, the Obi and the heads of all the villages in Issele-Uku must come here to worship the Fejokwan. The Obi provides the fish and the things that they must use. And he must be here in person or send a representative. Why are they doing that? It is a way of paying homage to the first comers in the land. That is the Fejokwan. Ideally, under the custom, it is why that Fejokwan is being done that the calendar Inaho is drawn. But you see, some people see it as an attempt to want to make the Onishe look like it's another ruler within the, and all kinds of struggle go on. But that is the custom. Go to Onichubo, that is what they do. Go to every Eze Chima clan, that is what they do. And so you see this gradual Beninization trying to water down, to distort things as it is. But we still know our history as it is, and God will help us to continue to push it as it is.
And my people are so hospitable that they don't ask you to bring anything if they want to live with you. They will tell you, come and stay with me. Let me, if he loves you, he can even give you his daughter to get married to. That is my people. Up to today, they believe that Oboli people are so hospitable in my town, Issele-Uku. They do a lot.